This PowerPoint has been prepared for the CCNFP no-cost program for teaching natural family planning. It is based on the assumption that a woman has learned about or refreshed her knowledge of the Billings ovulation method. The basal body temperature, BBT, should not be used alone for NFP, but it can be used with the Billings ovulation method to observe and track cervical mucus. The woman's menstrual cycle and her basal body temperature. The woman's natural sign to confirm the end of her fertile window. This presentation explains the changes in basal body temperature, BBT, that a woman may experience throughout her menstrual cycle, to be used as a secondary biomarker to enhance the accuracy of prediction and occurrence of ovulation, which the Billings science established. The CCNFP no-cost NFP training program does not provide free thermometers. We will discuss some thermometers and the best prices we know. A woman can use this information to optimize her chances of conceiving, or she can use it to avoid pregnancy naturally. BBT can also help her recognize ovulation, when an egg, ovum, is released from the ovary, and it is a sign of health and fertility. BBT is the resting body temperature that can be measured using a basal thermometer after waking up, if the woman has slept for at least 3 to 5 hours. It is a straightforward way to help determine fertility, because BBT varies during the menstrual cycle. There are some requirements to accurately measure BBT and interpret its changes during the menstrual cycle. Once the couple is familiar with these BBT changes, it will assist them in knowing ovulation has occurred. Because the woman's BBT is variable, she needs to understand and confidently identify the different phases of her cycle and how the fertile hormones, estrogen and progesterone, influence BBT. As her cycle begins, her BBT might be higher during menstruation due to residual levels of progesterone from the previous cycle. She should ignore the temperatures of the first 4 days of the cycle. Early in her cycle, the pituitary gland in her brain secretes a follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH. It stimulates the growth of a group of follicles in her ovaries. Each follicle will secrete the hormone estrogen. Estrogen influences BBT, and she may have lower BBT levels gradually during the fertile phase of the menstrual cycle. She becomes aware of this fertile phase by the changing cervical mucus pattern that she feels and can observe at the vulva. When one follicle ends maturity, the pituitary gland is stimulated to release the surge of another hormone, called luteinizing hormone, or LH. The release of an egg from its follicle, ovulation, will occur within the next 24 to 36 hours. She may have the lowest BBT of her menstrual cycle during this time, just prior to ovulation. Ovulation, the most important event of a woman's cycle. The release of the egg from its follicle. After the release of the ovum, the follicle is renamed the corpus luteum, a group of cells that appear right after the egg leaves her ovary. The corpus luteum releases a hormone called progesterone. The release of the egg from its follicle will elevate her BBT about 0.4 to 0.6 Fahrenheit grades, range from 0.2 to 0.8, and it is referred to as temperature rise, shift. It occurs because of the production of progesterone from the corpus luteum. Progesterone prepares her uterus for pregnancy. Once progesterone is no longer needed, i.e. no pregnancy, her corpus luteum goes away. Once ovulation occurs, the woman needs to determine the infertile times followed by the BBT shift or rise from the 6 previous temperatures. Fertile phase. The end of the fertile phase is confirmed using the rule of 3/6. The World Health Organization adopted this rule. The rule of 3/6 is determined as follows. 1. The woman suspects a rise in BBT, at least 0.2 degrees. 2. She confirms that the rise is greater than 0.2. 3. She needs to identify the 6 previous temperatures before the rise. 4. She needs to calculate an average of those 6 temperatures. 5. She needs to draw a cover line 0.1 degrees above the average. Average. 97.6 plus 0.1 equals 97.7 degrees Fahrenheit. The cover line is a horizontal line on the BBT chart that separates the average of the 6 previous temperatures before ovulation from the temperatures after ovulation is identified by the shift or rise in temperature. 6. First temperature above the cover line is considered that ovulation may have occurred. 7. 3 temperatures above the cover line confirms that the fertile phase has ended. 8. The couple can resume intercourse the evening of the day of the third temperature above the cover line. 9. The temperature will remain elevated the entire luteal phase, the time between ovulation and the day before the first day of a woman's next period. Her menstruation will come 11 to 16 days after she is ovulated. Her temperature will decrease a little when menstruation is going to happen. The temperature remains high if she has become pregnant. Requirements. To use BBT to confirm ovulation and the end of her fertile phase on her menstrual cycle, the woman needs to take her temperature every morning, about the same time every day, before getting out of bed, eating, or drinking. In addition, she takes her temperature by mouth and later adds it to her chart or app. She needs to chart at least 3 cycles to determine the variation of the temperature shift in her menstrual cycles. Things that can cause errors in her temperature readings: alcohol consumption, late night, disturbed night of sleep, oversleeping, holiday stress, travel, stress, illness, thyroid diseases, medications. NFP methods that teach BBT are referred to as symptothermal methods, cervical mucus plus BBT, or symptohormonal methods, hormonal testing plus BBT and/or mucus. Types of basal body thermometers: oral thermometers or vaginal thermometers, $39 to $50. Bracelet or ring thermometers, $120 to $300. Pros and cons of using BBT. It is an objective measure to confirm ovulation if the shift or rise in temperature is detected in the menstrual cycle. It is required that the woman tracks her cervical mucus, or another biomarker such as hormonal testing, estrogen, to identify the beginning of the fertile window. The BBT does not give a woman any clue when her fertility starts at the beginning of the cycle.